There's a shelter standing in the oak and hickory woods behind my house right now. The frame of it went up in about 5 minutes. One pole, a couple armloads of dead branches, and my own 2 hands. There is no rope in it, no tarp, no nails, and not $1 spent. 2 nights ago, it rained hard enough to fill the creek, and this morning the floor inside that shelter was as dry as my kitchen table. The roof is nothing but dead leaves and green moss laid over sticks. And inside, up off the ground, sits a bed made of small logs that sleeps better than you would believe. My people built shelters like this in these hills for 10,000 years. Through every season, this country can throw at a man. And once you know the pattern, you can raise one faster than most folks can wrestle a store-bought tent out of its bag. But here is what everybody gets wrong about a shelter like this. The walls are not the secret, and the roof is not the secret. The secret is the bed, and the reason the old ones never slept flat on the ground, not even in the middle of July, comes down to one specific thing the ground does to a sleeping body all night long. Stay with me to the end, because once you hear it, you will never lay your bedroll on bare dirt again. I'm Wes Kingfisher. I'm 64 years old. I'm of Cherokee heritage, and I was raised by my grandmother Ada in the hills of eastern Oklahoma, where I still live today. She taught me the plants in the kitchen, and my grandfather and my uncles taught me the woods. 40 years on the powwow trail taught me the rest, how our people made shelter from the northern plains to the desert southwest. The old ones never wrote this down, so listen close. Now, walk into a sporting goods store today and tell the young fellow behind the counter you want to sleep out in the woods. He will sell you a tent for $200, a sleeping pad for another $80, a rain fly, a bag of steaks, and a little mallet to drive them, and you will walk out the door about $400 lighter. I have got nothing against a good tent, but gear has a way of failing you. The zipper quits in year 2. The seams let go in the one storm that matters, and none of it is with you on the day you actually need shelter, because nobody plans the afternoon. A knee gives out 5 miles from the truck, or the day the weather rolls in faster than the radio said it would. The old ones did not carry their shelter on their backs. They carried the knowledge in their heads, and the land supplied everything else. The land gives you everything. You just have to know what you are looking at. What I am going to teach you today has 5 parts: the spot, the spine, the ribs, the blanket, and the bed. And every one of those parts is lying on the ground right now in nearly any patch of woods in America. We will take them one at a time, and I will give you the why underneath every step, because the why is what the old ones always knew. And the why is what keeps your shelter standing when the wind comes up, and keep that bed in the back of your mind as we go, because that is where a night in the woods is won or lost, and the reason why is the part nobody ever teaches. Now, everything I'm showing you today is one page out of a book I put together called The Native American Way, 101 remedies, skills, and recipes that kept my people alive for 10,000 years. Because the old ones never wrote any of it down, and somebody had to. It is the knowledge my grandmother, Ada, and the elders of Indian country handed me around 1,000 fires, written out plain, step by step. The backyard plants the old ones used and exactly how they used them. The teas and salves from Ada's kitchen. The wild foods and when to gather them. Putting food up the old way. And the fire, shelter, and water skills, like the one you're learning right now. It is $17, marked down from $47, and for knowledge that took 10,000 years of testing, I believe that is the best trade you will make this year. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, let's go find your spot. Step 1 is the spot, and the spot matters more than anything you build on it. Look for high ground first. Never set a shelter in the bottom of a draw or a low hollow, because cold air runs downhill at night the same way water does, and it pools in the low places until morning. Now, look up. If there's a dead tree standing over your spot or a broken limb hanging in the branches, move. The old-timers in these hills call those widow makers, and they earned the name. What you want is a tree with a sturdy fork about waist high, or 2 trees growing close enough together to cradle a pole between them. And you want your materials close. Pick a spot within a stone's throw of downed limbs and deep leaf litter, so you're not hauling wood across half the county. High ground, clear sky overhead, a fork at waist height, and wood and leaves close by. That is your spot. Step 2 is the spine. Find one pole about 9 or 10 feet long, longer than you are tall by half again, and about as thick as your forearm. That is forearm thick, not wrist thin. Dead wood is fine, so long as it is sound. Lay it across your knee and lean on it. If it flexes and holds, it will serve. If it cracks, leave it in the leaves and find another. Set the thick end up in that fork at waist height. Let the other end rest on the ground. Now push down on the middle of it with your full weight. If the spine holds you, it will hold everything else you put on it. The spine carries the whole shelter, so take your time here. There is no rush. Step 3 is the ribs. Gather branches and lean them along both sides of the spine. Set steep like the sides of a roof. Steep matters because a steep side sheds rain and a flat side drinks it. Space the ribs about a hand's width apart. Leave yourself an opening at the tall end to crawl through. Then get down and crawl inside before you go any further. You want it snug in there. If you can lie down with just enough room to turn over, it is exactly right. One of my uncles used to say, "A shelter is not a bedroom. It is a coat you build out of the woods." A coat fits close, and close is warm. And keep holding that thought about the bed, because we are 2 steps away now, and the why underneath it is worth the whole video. Step 4 is the blanket, and this is where most folks quit too early. Start at the bottom edge and pile leaf litter, dead grass, and small brush up the sides of the shelter, working from the ground toward the spine, the same way a man lays shingles, so water runs over each layer instead of through it. Now here's your number, 2 feet deep. That is 2 feet of leaves, not 2 inches. And the difference is the difference between sleeping dry and sitting up miserable at 3 in the morning. When you think you have piled enough, add more. Then lay slabs of green moss over the outside, the way you see on mine, to hold the leaves down against the wind and help shed the rain. When you are done, crawl inside and look up at the roof. If you can see daylight coming through, rain can come through the same holes. So get back out and keep piling until the inside goes dark. Step 5 is the bed, and now we come to it. Find 2 logs about as thick as your leg and as long as you're tall. Lay them inside the shelter side by side about 2 feet apart. Now gather straight sticks, each one as thick as a broom handle or better. Lay those sticks across the 2 logs side by side like the slats of a porch floor until you have a platform the length of your body. That platform puts you about 4 inches off the ground. 4 inches. Remember that number because it is about to matter more than everything else you built today. Then pile a foot of dry leaves or pine boughs on top of the slats for your mattress. It takes longer to build the bed than the whole rest of the shelter. Build it anyway. Before I hand you the why, let me tell you where I learned to trust it. Years back, on the powwow trail, I spent part of a winter with friends out on the northern plains, and one January night the thermometer on the barn read 20 below zero. We slept in a teepee that night, a canvas one, and I will tell you the truth, I was nervous about it. But inside that teepee, the beds were not on the ground. Our people out on the plains laid down willow frames and piled them with robes and blankets so that no part of a sleeping man touched the earth. I slept warm that night, 20 below outside, and I slept warm. and the fire in the middle of that teepee was not a big one. The next morning I asked the old man whose lodge it was why the beds mattered so much, and he laughed at me a little, the way elders do, and he told me the same thing my own grandfather had told me in the Oklahoma hills 1,000 miles away. Two nations 1,000 miles apart, and the same answer. Because the old ones everywhere had figured out the same truth about the ground. That is the answer I have been holding back from you this whole video, and here it comes. Now let me pay you what I promised at the start, because here's what the ground does to a sleeping body, and why the old ones would no more sleep flat on the dirt than they would sleep in the creek. Your body loses heat a few different ways out in the woods. It loses a little to the air around you. It loses some to the wind and to your own breath. But the fastest way a body loses heat is by touch. And the ground is the biggest, coldest thing you will ever touch. Dig down a few inches under the leaf litter in these hills and the dirt sits somewhere in the 50s, even in the middle of summer. Your body runs at 98.6. And when warm touches cold, warm always pays. Dirt pulls heat out of you many times faster than still air ever could, and the ground never fills up and never warms through. It just keeps taking hour after hour, all night long. My grandfather put it this way: the ground is patient. It does not fight you for your heat. It just takes it while you sleep. That is why a man can lie down next to a good fire on a 60-degree night and still wake up shaking before dawn. The fire was warming the air, but the ground was never touching the air. It was touching him, and that is the whole secret of the bed. Those 4 inches of sticks and dry leaves put a layer of dead, still air between you and the dirt, and dead air is one of the poorest carriers of heat there is. The ground cannot take what it cannot touch. Our people knew this from the plains to the north woods, and everywhere I ever slept on the circuit, the bed came up off the ground before the fire was even laid. You cannot outburn the ground. You can only get up off of it. And that right there is the kind of thing my grandmother and my grandfather handed me for free. And there are 101 more like it in the book, written out plain so they do not die with me. The Native American way, 101 remedies, skills, and recipes that kept my people alive for 10,000 years. The shelter you learn today has its own page in the book, laid out step by step. Alongside the backyard plants the old ones used, the teas and salves from Ada's kitchen, the wild foods and when to gather them, and the recipes that fed the people through every winter. It is $17 marked down from $47, and $17 against one rack at the sporting goods store is not much of a contest. 10,000 years of testing. That is the guarantee on this one. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. High ground, a spine at waist height, steep ribs, 2 feet of blanket, and a bed 4 inches up off the hungry ground. Tell me in the comments where your people are from. And if there is native blood in your family line, like there is in so many American families, I would be honored to hear the story. I read every single one. Next time I am going to show you the scrubby little tree growing along fence lines across most of this country, the one my grandmother Ada called the toothache tree, and exactly what the old ones did with its bark when a tooth started aching miles from any town. Wado, my friends, that means thank you. Walk easy, and I'll see you down the trail.